Hello to all the listeners. My name is Dylan,
And I'm Dylan.
and we would like to thank you for taking the time to give us a listen. And if you do enjoy, please drop a like and subscribe for our weekly podcast, or even check out the clips that we post from each show.
You can also follow us at our Twitter on screen and then tune in each week, Wednesday night, for our weekly podcast streaming at DatDill on Twitch.
Thank you, and enjoy the podcast. All right. Well, another week, another fun, group of headlines that we're going to kind of go through. Obviously, going to start out with what immediately is on the screen, which I don't even know. Like I felt like I knew that this event was taking place, and then just like erased that like from memory, and then didn't care enough to like pay attention more to it until literally it was like, oh, this is on tonight. So
Did you watch it live?
I did not watch it live. I watched like highlights of the stuff and
Wow.
like everything in it. It's just, dude, I'm not watching this live. I'm sorry. This is like, I could care. I didn't like the Paul brothers before they started becoming like past the TikTok fame that they had, and I still don't. So like the fact that the fact that like I am I going to contribute to them making just more money on like dumb shit like this? Like no. So
Well, definitely not. You definitely can't watch it any other ways.
yeah, I know. I know. Technically, yes, but like, I just don't want to because I'm sure somebody's compiling those views too, and is like, hey, this many people watched it illegally. That also, I guarantee these organizations have those kind of like stats. I'm sure they know that stuff just because, I'm sure they're monitoring it. Like, if not to block it, but at least to see like, okay, how many people are actually tuning in that just aren't paying. Because I'm sure that like I'm sure they analyze that and are like, okay, well, we did this change and then this is how many viewers actually showed up then, or who knows. But anyways, point is I just did not want to go ahead and watch this live. It was a weird, like, I just weird all around. Like, I just started looking it up and like learning about like what had actually occurred at this event, because like obviously a boxing match, typically the headliner for a boxing match doesn't even go on until 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, somewhere in that range, because there's so many boxing matches before that for either just lower tiers competition, or just entry level, younger guys that are kind of starting to trying to make a name for themselves or just starting out. Those are all the like the matches leading up to it, and then you have like the main headline match. So I knew that obviously there's not going to be any under like neath matches really for like this thing. Like, it's not going to be a whole fight night type of thing like you would see in a normal boxing or UFC production. But instead, so I'm gonna run through this list. Do you know anything about this event? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I watched it live.
Oh, you actually did watch it live?
Yeah, I did watch it live. I watched it.
Okay.
I watched the follow or the what is it, like the preceding the Biebs concert that was before it, just because it was kind of fun to watch as a shit show together. And yeah, that's why I could share in the disappointment in it, is because I threw it on because I was like, oh, this will be fun. Maybe he'll get knocked out and it'll be like a big meme. And then it was like 20 minutes of disappointment, delays, and then like terrible production, and then to end in like a minute and a half. It was terribly disappointing, and I feel like I should have been paid $50 to watch it instead of the other way around.
Okay, so then you actually watched it. So I'm going to highlight a couple things that I
Yeah.
saw that were in this thing. So first off, how somebody got the Mount Westmore is what they were calling themselves, which I guess was the Mount Rushmore of Western or like West rappers or West Coast rappers. And freaking, so Ice was there, Ice Cube, and Snoop, Too Short, which like I like obviously everybody knows like the Life Is Too Short song. And then E40, I don't know who E40 is. That might be like my own thing. I love rap music, so I should know probably more about that and know who E40 is, but I don't know who that is. But apparently that was a thing there. Ice Cube maybe performed, I guess. That was a thing.
I don't,
Like,
maybe earlier. I don't know. Maybe earlier. I
I think
didn't
it
see
was
that.
early. I think that's what they said. And
Um,
then I guess, yeah, Justin Bieber did that set, which was like a quick one, I guess, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what Justin Bieber's up to anymore. Like, he was big, obviously, and then like kind of faded back to like
Dude, he's on
nothingness.
top of the COVID world though. Like every concert that was like big and streaming online, they just like called him up to come in and fill time, and he's been there for everyone. He was there for this. He was there for one. I think that was like one of the first streamed outdoor ones for some new service or something. It like crashed because they had like 2 million people watching at once. Like COVID has been great for this guy. He's just been the number one person to call up when he's like, no concerts are going on. All right, let's get Justin in here. He's gonna fill
Well,
us in.
the funny thing is like I think like he's making new music, right? Like I heard about that one
Hank.
song. I think I listened to that one song like for like a minute and a half. It was like that one where he's like sitting at the dinner table. I watched the video for like a minute and a half, and I just like that was just like the dumbest thing on the planet. Like watching that, like the song was terrible, and it was funny because it was such like a like everybody in the comments was like, yeah, this is bad. This is not good. Like
Yeah.
even like yeah, you could hate Justin Bieber for was like in the beginning of his career, but like at least some of his songs were catchy. Like this was just bad, and so that's why I was like, I don't even know what Justin's doing anymore. Is he doing things? Is he like I
Yeah.
remember him being in the headlines for like being married all of a sudden, and then that's like I don't know. I guess he's still married. I don't know.
I don't know. I think he is, because last time that I heard him was on that like that live concert, and I think that was a big thing. He was like calling out to her, and like, you know, just a shout out, what have you.
Gotcha. Okay, so that was a thing. So apparently Doja Cat performed. I like that. It was a thing
What is
too.
that?
Doja Cat. You know the Doja Cat. The Say
I,
So. You've had to have heard Doja Cat's like so Say So. That's like that song was huge. I actually have it on my playlist because it's like a pretty boppy song.
yeah.
It's like very much like a summer pop, not summer, but like a very like peak pop song. But like I don't know, good enough to end up in my playlist. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she performed. Ric Flair was there. Ric Flair watched a slap contest. I read that headline and was shocked because that made no sense to me. Like those words, I never thought I'd read those words that Ric Flair, Nature Boy, perform or watched a slap contest at the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren boxing match. I'm just like these words coming out of my mouth don't make sense, Dylan.
Yeah, it's your favorite insert like random person here you haven't thought about in 5 years or 10 years.
Like I think the last time I felt anything about Ric Flair was like the Ric Flair drip song by I was Offset, one of the I think it was Offset. And like that's actually like a decent song, actually, not gonna lie. But that
Yeah.
Pete Davidson was I guess
Yeah.
commentating. I don't like that made no sense to me either. What did Pete Davidson factor into this? Like I was so confused by every like literally
It
like,
wasn't good.
It's just so that's what I heard too. Like I heard he was like disappointing.
It was just weird. It was kind of like you just didn't want to hear it. You were like, hey, like stop talking, please. This isn't really the place nor the time.
Well, the thing
Just
is,
weird.
like, the thing about Pete Davidson is like Pete Davidson, fantastic like actor so far. Like, obviously in SNL. I haven't seen The King of Staten Island. It's a movie I really want to watch. Have you seen it?
It was good. I liked
Okay.
it. It was a good
I
hour
really
and a
want to
half.
watch. Really want to watch it because it's got my favorite comedian, Bill Burr, in there. So obviously, right off that, Pete Davidson, Bill Burr, I'm like, okay, that's got to be at least a decent movie. So
It was.
I know, yeah,
It was.
and I know he's a good actor. Like as far as like watching him in those skits, like, and that movie got good reviews and everything. I guess he's just one of those people that like needs like a script. Like he can't just go off script and just be funny. Like, and that's not a bad thing. Like, I mean, it's not terrible that he just can't like be funny on like off script. But I guess that was an issue too, like his commentating. And then I guess the big controversy about the whole thing, which we're kind of getting to it, obviously with the the actual fight. But I guess the big controversy is that like it looked almost like Ben Askren through the match. Like I guess he took a dive is what everybody's saying it looked like. Just because like he I guess in the boxing match looked like he'd never blocked a punch in his life, which doesn't make any sense considering he's like an ex-UFC fighter. And like no matter where you're at in the UFC, like any level of UFC or MMA fighting, like blocking a punch is probably up there with like one of the very basic things you learn. So like that's kind of confusing how he didn't know that. And it is funny because it's funny because you watch like reactions. Like I think I saw like a tweet from like Stephen A. Smith that was like, this dog is serious. You can't put him in the ring with other non-boxers. He needs to be in the ring with actual boxers. And I was like, does he though? Or like, was this even like a showing that Jake Paul is that good? Or was it really just Ben
Oh,
Askren looked like he had drank like 8 beers before this and his entire training. I mean, look, no, not so funny, but look at this like imagery here. Ben Askren looks like he's enjoying his UFC retirement well, and then Jake Paul is Jake Paul. So it's like, you
yeah.
know, I don't know. I
I mean,
weirdest like
people are
it's a
saying that because he was holding his, like, he was literally just like not guarding his head or anything at all. Like, even though it was just weird body language. And also the fact that, yeah, he went down so hard and so quick. It was just like, okay, like one or two punches and I'm collecting my check. Let's call it there. So I think that's where
yeah.
the throwing talk has come from. And there was a lot of money. So I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, and you know what? They all made it. I remember. I don't know if this is 100% true. I didn't actually check these numbers. I mean, they're coming from Jake Paul. I wouldn't assume he
Oh.
would. Yeah, I know. You're like, okay, I guess I take it at face value, but I guess that there was like 1.5 pay-per-view buys, and then there was 75 million generated. So I mean,
That's
like
ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's an absurd amount of money. This is the same thing I felt with the McGregor Mayweather fight. Like McGregor obviously not a boxer. Like he was trained a boxer initially, but he's been in UFC so long that like he hasn't trained as a boxer that long in order to hang in the ring with Mayweather, who's Mayweather. Not saying I don't think Mayweather's the greatest boxer of all time. Just throw it out there. I think he's one of the best and definitely perfected his shoulder roll technique, and he's probably one of the quickest boxers that I've ever seen. But I that like that fight at least was a little bit more legit because Mayweather, like McGregor was a UFC fighter currently and had boxing history, like, and was known for being kind of a stand-up UFC fighter. So that match made at least a little bit more sense. Obviously, you knew the way it was going to go. Like the way that match ended was exactly how I thought it was going to end, which was that Mayweather was going to like basically outlast him because UFC training, you only go, you're really only training for 5 rounds, 25 minutes, but instead you have to go for, 12 rounds or whatever it was, 15 rounds. I can't remember what the actual match was set for. So it's just the conditioning and training and everything is very different. So I understood that match, the way it was going to go. I thought it was entertaining to watch because it was a lot more competitive than whatever this was going to be. But I just like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what I expected from this. Hearing the headline of like Jake Paul versus ex UFC fighter Ben Askren. So like I don't know what I expected from that, but like I guess I didn't expect a quick first round knockout on a guy who didn't look like he's trained in fighting ever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
is he also coming off a hip surgery too? I think they said. It
Is he?
was a hip surgery, I think, a couple, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't know if all those factors contribute to the fact that Ben Askren just wasn't prepared for this fight, and he's not a boxer, and that's what led to it. And that's where we're actually like genuinely seeing Jake Paul, who's trained as a boxer, actually be somewhat of a boxer, and Ben Askren's not, as well as being, like you said, having the hip injury in the last year and everything like that. Maybe that's what it was that we actually saw, and like we're all just jumping to conclusions. But man, did it really look like? And like even just watching the highlights of the fight, like the literal, I don't even know if you could call them highlights. It was like literally a minute and a half fight. Uh,
Yeah.
Watching that, I mean, it looked like Ben Askren was taking a dive, and I don't want to like say that as like a definite, nor like obviously this is all alleged. We're all talking speculation, but it definitely looked like that, especially with how much money is involved in the whole thing and everything. But you know what? I've listened. You made a ton of money for a minute and a half performance, and I can't say anything bad about that. I mean, like, was it like? Do I think it's a generally entirely the whole event was dumb and ridiculous? Yes, but like, if it really generated 75 million, well then guess what? I don't. What am I gonna say?
Yeah. No, it was, I mean, I would take that check if that was what would happen or what actually happened. He took a dive. I would absolutely take that check. And regardless, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on that, like for hype for next fights, because like obviously this was really a terrible viewing experience, regardless
Mhm.
of who you wanted to win or whatever. But I don't know. I don't understand that eventually. I think, yeah, I guess people see it as like, oh, it's going to be super hyped next time because he knocked him out. So he's really got a chance with someone more legit. But like for me, that's just like, oh, we had one really crappy fight and, there might be another one. I don't know.
Yeah,
Viewing experience was bad.
I agree. It definitely didn't bring as I feel like it's one of those things where maybe they just get better at it. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's actually what I was literally just about to lead into. Is I think maybe it's that like the production being so terrible. Maybe it's something that they'll get better at.
Super
Like
amateur.
yeah, like maybe they'll work out the kinks of it. Like hey, this wasn't done right. Let's fix this. Let's fix that. Like maybe that would make the future fights look better or be better produced. I don't know. I don't know if maybe they're just going to keep grinding out the same thing because it made 75 million, but like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I like definitely intriguing to watch celebrities fight each other in a ring later on with good musical acts around them. That is like that's an idea that like I definitely would subscribe to. It's just this is not the celebrity I wanted to watch and not the match I wanted to watch and not the production quality apparently that anybody wanted to watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you'd find better production quality on a Twitch stream. Like, it's not even joking. It was more about just like being. Oops. It was more about just being like I don't know, not like professional, but literally it was just like like stop talking. Like it just commentary was just yeah, exactly. He was there. Snoop Dogg promoting his liquor. That's all he was there for, and he was talking about like all the money he was gonna get like post everything after Jake Paul won. Like it was just really just like it was just gross and boring. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Like be a
evidently
little bit
what
less transparent,
well,
more
evidently, what
transparent.
it was is it was kind of like a Woodstock type of thing where it's like if you call them, they will come. Like it's like the, like Snoop Dogg showing up to promote his liquor. I guarantee, like there was a call that was like put in like, hey, maybe we can get Snoop to come, and then Snoop was like, yeah, I'll only come, but I get to like promote my liquor the whole time, and that's it. And then they were like, yeah, that sounds great. And then like I guarantee they did that. Like they appeased everybody and did whatever everybody wanted in that fashion so that way they could just get the big names there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Pete Davidson, or earlier I said Pete Davidson is seems to me to be like a good actor and good with a script and funny with a script, but if he tries to go off script, that also seems to not work. So, and he's kind of a weird guy in general, anyways. So like, I don't know. Like I said, the whole event is weird and a whole bunch of random stuff happened and it made them 75 million. So I mean, like, as much as we're criticizing it, like if they put another one up and it makes anywhere near 75 million or more, then who am I to criticize what they're doing because it's working?
Well, like the biggest thing
you
with the
know,
commentary team, especially, is like it really had that energy of just like an executive was like, oh my god, what do people in like Jake Paul's area like? Like they like Snoop Dogg, right? And
yep.
then Pete Davidson, like he's cool, and then Mario Lopez, like, yeah, that's what we
Mario
love,
Lopez was
man.
there.
Got it.
Dear God, this is just yeah. That might have been the like that might have been what they were going for was like that they were like they knew his audience and who his audience would know via like TikTok and all that, and then bam, here you go.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredibly it was incredibly um a miss on having a pulse of your audience.
Yep.
Very, very interesting.
I like I said, I definitely would be intrigued to see what happens with future events. But yeah, just to sum it up, weird.
Yeah,
Like just weird all around the whole
yeah.
thing.
This is just a money grab the whole time. There are people that get high. These are the people that get high. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Here you
Yeah,
go. This is
100%.
cool, right?
Yeah, that's hip, right? It's new.
All right, let's move on. The story doesn't deserve this much time.
Fair enough. All right, what do you want to move on to? So
Um,
I
got spoilers.
just
You go
feature
on to
topics.
this. Yeah, let's go right there.
All right, we'll kind of mention a little bit of this. Maybe we'll just stick with a little bit NFL talk right now, starting off with this. So we'll kind of move through the NFL topics that I got. So NFL approves expansion of jersey numbers. I am all for this. So the reason why I'm all for it though is because I like the restrictions that they kept, but also like the expansion that they made. So for example, I'm an offensive lineman, or I was an offensive lineman in high school. I like the fact that offensive linemen are 50 through 79. Makes it easier to see them on the field. As well as, if for example, like an offensive lineman checks in as an extra offensive lineman that's eligible for receiving, that's kind of interesting too. So keeping them in the same, offensive line numbers that they've always been is nice. I like that. Defensive line, same thing, same concept for me. The rest, I'm totally okay with. I don't think there's an issue with a wide receiver wearing number 1 or number 4. Like, to me, it doesn't make, like, having your, quote unquote skilled receiver or skilled receivers or skilled positions be the like different numbers and everything like that, from ranging from 1 to 49 for pretty much all the skilled positions, 159 in linebackers case. That just, to me, it makes sense. I don't, I think it's cool in college football when I see a guy like an Isaiah Thomas, for instance, or Isaiah Thomas, Isaiah Wilson, from
There
the
you go. Yeah,
Cardinals.
Wilson.
Wilson, there we
Right.
go. Jeez, one of my favorite prospects coming out of any draft ever, and I can't get his name correct. But anyways, I like keep his number 11. Like, I don't see a problem with that. It doesn't matter. Like, he plays safety, linebacker, pass rusher. Who cares? Wide receiver again. Right here, Derrick Henry being number 2. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's entertaining. I think seeing a player in college with their number that they've had through high school and through grade school and everything, and then they come to the pros and they get to keep the same number, I'm all for it.
Yeah. I never, this is something I legitimately did not think about. I didn't think there were rules on it. I did not know it was a hotly debated issue. This was just like oh yeah, I didn't know they had that. Cool. I don't see
Yeah.
what the issue is.
Well, it's because of the for wide receivers, I think the numbers were you were allowed to be 1 through 19 or 11 through 19 or 10 through 19, I'm sorry. And then basically you were allowed to be like 80 through 89 or something like you were very specific numbers that you were allowed to be. Same with running back, same with quarterback, same with DBs, linebackers. You basically just weren't allowed to dip into 1 through 19 or 1 through 10, which is where quarterbacks kind of lied. So the fact that it kind of expands for everybody is, like I said, a lot better in my opinion, because if I'm watching Derrick Henry in college at number 2, it doesn't really mean anything to me that he suddenly becomes number 22. Like, just keep him number 2. I don't care. Like, nobody cares what number he has on his jersey, but if it's more recognizable for people that maybe don't know the name, then that makes more sense. So yeah, I agree. I wish quarterbacks did get higher. I think it'd be fun for quarterbacks to be maybe 1 through 30, or 1 through 29. And just, or I mean, quarterbacks to me, 1 through 19, whatever. I mean, it's every quarterback in history has been like that. So that's fine. 1 through 29 maybe would have been a little bit more inclusive. But yeah, like I said, I don't really care about this at all. Like, I'm totally okay with linebackers being whatever number they were in college. I'm totally okay with DBs being that same way. If Patrick Surtain this year gets drafted and he's number 2 in college, he could be number 2 in the pros. I could care less.
Interesting. It was for TV purposes, floating in the 70s. Like a reason, like was it supposed to make it easier for viewers to track the game type?
Yeah,
How
that's
hockey
that's
had the glowing puck for a while.
Yeah, basically that's what it was. It was basically so that way you could identify what players are which, because obviously on a football field there's a lot of different players. It's different from like basketball where there's 5 positions. It's different from like, soccer where it's like, oh, those guys are attackers, those guys are defenders. Yeah, they have specific names for their positions, but you don't really need to know that if you're just a casual fan watching. Whereas for the pros, you're like, wait a minute, who's the guy that gets the ball and then throws the ball? Oh, that's the quarterback. Oh, I see the quarterback now on the field with, the other 21 players. That's kind of why it was there, so that way you could actually recognize like the actual film, because football is also like a pretty quick sport once it actually gets going. Like once the play started, it's hard to like kind of track anybody on the field. So it's just easier for people to track the numbers going across the screen, and for the more casual fan.
Interesting. Yeah, I buy it.
So,
That makes
but yeah, like I said, I don't care. I love it. I love that they're actually expanding it. For a while, the NFL was the no fun league, and we're finally starting to like break that open and like expand where they can actually celebrate. They can actually wear any number that they want within a general guideline. Like, that's totally fine with me. I don't care. Uh,
yeah.
you know, Obviously, like I said, I do like that they kept some of the guidelines but generally overall, it's great. Keep it as is right now, moving forward, and I'd be happy, and I think everybody would be too.
Yeah.
All right,
See, I know
so
we have another.
we have a couple different NFL topics to go through. So if you want to scroll over, I think there's the Alex Smith. Yeah, this one we can just jump onto this one, whatever you want to jump into. So all right, so Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni announces he doesn't want Jalen Hurts to be the starting QB, or doesn't name him the starting QB, but says that it'll be an open competition. My one comment I wrote for this was open competition with who? Like who is he competing with?
Joe
Like
Flacco.
Joe Flacco? Like
He's there.
he's competing with Joe Flacco. You're going to tell me that the young quarterback who maybe has a shot of reaching a potential is going to compete with an old, aging, near out of the league quarterback in Joe Flacco?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's some like that weird coach thing or whatever. They're just like never. I don't know if like Belichick did that. I feel like it's a Belichick thing to be like, yeah, I don't know if Brady's starting the season or whatever, like for years, that type of thing, or if it's like a I don't know serious quarterback competition. It's just weird. I mean, Jalen Hurts was all right last season. Like they lost a couple of games they probably shouldn't have. I could think of one. I think it was the Cardinals specifically.
Well,
Um,
he was all right, but you also have to realize that like his offensive line was garbage, his wide receivers were garbage, his
yeah,
like tight end was aging, and they're trading him. Like it's so like get him some help and just let him be like yeah he was
threaten him might make him better.
That's this.
Yeah,
It's so stupid. And like, I also wonder too. Like, there's a part of me that wonders if maybe this is like a pushback at ownership, because I remember ownership. I remember there being a quote that the ownership had said at one point, like that Jalen they should give Jalen Hurts a chance. I wonder if this is like a pushback of like, no, we're not going to give him a chance. Like, like yeah, you can say that, but I'm the coach. I
yeah.
decide.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts was a god against Arizona. Okay, that's right. Maybe I was wrong about that. I thought they lost that game. Maybe he wasn't his fault, but yeah, I get you.
I don't know what
Flacco did that to
Philadelphia.
Darnold. Dude,
What?
Flacco outplayed Darnold. He
Yeah,
destroyed him.
okay, Flacco outplayed Darnold, but Darnold again, I'd never got a fair shot, and I'm actually excited for him to finally get an offense in the Panthers.
They did, but only deflected Hail Mary at the end. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you for telling me.
but regardless of all that, Jalen Hurts should start. He should be given the chance. He should be. You should name him the ultimate. Like no matter what, he's the starter, and Joe freaking Flacco can sit behind him. And guess what? If Jalen Hurts starts to trip up or starts to have issues, maybe 8 games in or whatever, if it's not looking good, you can pull him. But like, are the Eagles really trying to be that good next year? Like, even if Jalen Hurts isn't that great, like, are they really trying to be that good? I mean, this is a team that's like strapped for cap, like bad, like Saints level strapped for crap, or strapped for cap. Wow, say that 3 times fast. They're a team that's strapped for cap, and like, so what are they really trying to be that good? Like, even if Jalen Hurts is not like that good of a quarterback and ends up not being that good of a quarterback, like, does that hurt your team if you end up with a good draft pick next year when there's a couple good quarterbacks that I like coming out of the draft? It doesn't make any sense to me. This whole like, oh, we're gonna have a competition, like, okay, like it's great. Like it's you basically have the Bears situation where you're like, oh, we're gonna have a competition between Trubisky and Foles, and it's like, wow, fun, love it. I can't wait. It's what an exciting time.
Yeah, this was apparently a clarification as a follow up, which again is just really speaking to how absolute scraping the bottom of the barrel everyone is trying to be right now about the draft. Like you obviously tweet this out with what's going to be said about that,
Yeah,
and
you know
then
how it's gonna be
immediately
taken.
follow up with this shit. Like it's so boring,
Yeah, like
literally out of content.
like you're a new head coach, you know how it's going to be taken. And so like you can, and you know what, like you don't have to say it's a competition, you just say that he's your starter. And then guess what, like ownership said that they want him, you want him to be given a chance. So guess what, as the coach stepping into the new coach, you should probably maybe actually like make the ownership like you, considering you're new and you want to keep your job. So maybe let him start. And then guess what? If it backfires, it's not on you because the ownership's the one that wanted him to start. So then you go, okay, can I get my quarterback now? And then they go, yeah, thanks for giving Jalen Hurts a shot. It didn't really work out with him. Let's go a different direction. And then bam, there you go. Now you're open to do whatever you want. This whole thing is just stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and thank you, Dank. I had to literally Google David Culley because I forgot about who he was. Which, by the way, I didn't know who
Who's
Nick Sirianni was because forgot the Eagles even hired a head coach.
Dylan?
I
Dylan,
forgot about the Texans as well.
Dylan, we're talking about both these coaches. I have no idea who these coaches are. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
they're
know who Nick.
NPCs. Like no one knows who they are. No one knows. There's like okay, I guess like Sirianni came from the Colts, and then the Tex got him from the assistant head coach, wide receivers coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Okay. Yeah, again, I would totally love a head coach of one of the worst wide receiver units in the league. That's
Mhm.
very good. But yeah, they're oblivion NPCs.
Yeah, 100%. Also, who's in more denial, Nick Sirianni or David Culley? Probably David Culley. He's like he's like sitting there with like I just go visit like the NFL page that tracks like all the free agency signings. Just go visit the Texans and what they've done in this offseason. It's just a whole lot of like hey, we got this wide receiver that you like remember being having like a flash like 6 years ago. We got him. Hey, come back to us, Deshaun. Like it's
Yeah,
just so bad. I was I don't understand it. I don't understand as a new coach. Like I said, you have deniability, especially because the ownership said that they want Jalen Hurts to get the fair chance he deserves. So start Jalen Hurts. What's like I said, what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? You're bad? Like who cares? All your players are old. Like you need to get rid of everybody anyways. You're gonna rebuild. Like who wants to be good in a rebuild? Like
yeah.
nobody.
The job security must be nice though. You have no expectations going into this. Kind
That's
of
what I'm
depressing
saying.
though.
That's what I'm saying. Just let Jalen Hurts be the starter. And then if it doesn't work, you go, okay, well, I gave him a fair shot. Can I go with my guy now? And then the ownership goes, yeah, go ahead. And then he goes, hey, can I draft a quarterback or get a quarterback that I want here? Yeah, sure, go ahead. And then he has free reign. Like, I
Yeah,
just don't understand it.
not the
Oh, God.
Bears.
Oh, man.
Rude, but yeah.
Listen, the Bears are. Oh, man.
I can't wait for the draft though, because it's something mainly. Not even because I'm excited about what'll happen, just because there will at least be
Dylan,
something to talk about.
my
Because there'll be a
expect
direction.
my expectations for this draft are so low that like whatever player we get, my honestly, my so okay, my expectations are so incredibly low that like I just whatever I'm looking at this draft and going, whoever we get, I'm so glad that we have them for whatever ownership comes in next. Like that's what I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at this as like a Pace and Nagy pick. I'm looking at this as like a okay, who's going to be here when those two idiots get fired? Like let's take a look. I want to see. Oh, we drafted Rashad Bateman, a wide receiver, to replace Allen Robinson. Okay, all right, that sounds good. I'm happy with that. It's like whoever the next quarterback is in like 3 or 4 years, he'll have a target. And then it's like the only pick I think that's really going to disappoint me, and I saw this, and it just I had one of those moments where I just like I hate like those moments keep coming this offseason where I just go I hate us as Chicago fans and Bears fans. But I saw a post that somebody put that was like the Bears are doing a ton of homework and seem to really like David Mills so much so that they might draft him in the first round. And I just almost like I almost wanted to curl up in a ball in a corner and like cry because I'm like if the first round if we stream the first round live,
Yeah,
I swear to God, if the Bears make that pick, everybody better be joining in because I will be downing whatever I'm drinking and just going on a tirade around the freaking stupid idiotic. Yeah,
I don't see how they really think that demand will be that high for him in the first round. That they'll
yeah, but
pull the
Dylan,
trigger.
Dylan, what has these two men told you that is going to convince you that they might not be as stupid to draft David Mills in the first round?
I mean, my feeling is that they already talked about they're going to draft a quarterback every year, and they never did that. So they're not going to blow their load on this to do this, like in it's unexpected move and maybe an undervalued quarterback. They only see the shining gem in. Like I don't know. Seems a
Dylan,
little bit too crazy.
you're giving them too much credit.
What about Tyler Bray though? That's right. What about
the savior? Oh God,
do we really need to draft a quarterback anyways? We could just take a tackle and Andy Dalton, Tyler Bray battling it out. Is he still staying on the
Tyler
Bears next?
Bray. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Listen, Tyler Bray is our last resort. If Andy Dalton snaps his leg in half, and then whatever rookie quarterback we bring in is like terrible, then Tyler Bray's it. He's the franchise. We're
He's a
gonna
free
move.
agent right now.
Yeah, but they're gonna bring him back. I mean, come on, you can't get rid of Tyler Bray.
Well, how do you compete with a market for 18 total passing yards in the NFL in one competition on 6 attempts?
But Dylan, did you see that training
Wow.
montage? Did you see that training montage? That was
Yeah, that was. I love that.
the one
That
where
was a
he
segment.
didn't even throw the passes accurately.
Hmm.
like, oh
I'm totally
God,
prepared to see Andy Dalton to get sacrificed on the field again. Dirty hit.
he is. I just can't
Yeah,
wait. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch Andy Dalton just slowly realize that he signed on with a team in the city that's just burning down around him.
harder.
Yeah, literally. I mean, he's the fall guy, so that way, like, if the season goes bad, maybe Pace and Nagy can save their jobs by like pointing to like, well, we didn't really have a quarterback.
Yeah,
But I
that
mean,
one's
how
not
many
really going to fly again.
Dylan? I thought this season somebody was getting fired, and then everybody got brought back. Not only did everybody get brought back, but they also had a press conference where they literally talked about how they have everything else done so well, and everything else on this team, Dylan, is right there. Everything they've done, everything else but the quarterback position. And
Yeah,
everybody from that press conference went, "Okay, first off, no, you fucking ain't." And secondly, but the quarterback, that's the only position you got everything else but the quarterback. Oh, the most important fucking position on the football field, you didn't get that right for the last 4 fucking years.
yeah,
Gosh darn it, I just freaking hate this team so much. I
yeah,
can't handle it. I can't. Ah.
yeah.
So all right, well anyways, yeah, we're collaborating. God fucking fuck us. Collaboration. Oh man, we're so terrible. All right, so what's the next topic on the thing? I think Alex Smith retired. Let's flash over to that. Give us like a little bit of something to discuss. So you can just have this video playing on in the background. That's why I did it, or that's why I sent it to you because I figured that would be good. So I just want to go out on a limb right here and go out on a limb. I hate myself. I just want to go off and basically talk about how Alex Smith is gonna go down in history as a legend with the way that he was able to recover from this. Like I can't like obviously Alex Smith, not the best quarterback of all time. Like not maybe he's a Hall of Famer. I don't know. You probably
No,
not. But
what? No, stop. We already had this
the
discussion.
okay, I know. But the
A Hall
one
of
thing I
Famer.
will say is like you have to give him all the credit in the world for this entire thing because I cannot imagine doing what he did to his leg and then deciding that you're going to work your way back to football and actually play on a team that's not good. Like it would freak me out to play on a team like that after that. I mean, look at this. Look at his freaking leg, Dylan.
It
What
doesn't
is
help that the
that?
first game back, he was literally lined up against Aaron Donald. I remember watching that, and I think I had to go to the store, but I had it on my phone, and I was like, every
Dude,
snap
every
was like
single
holding your
human
breath.
every person just watched and just was scared. But like I said, give him all the credit in the world. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could like go through what he did injury wise and somehow make my way back to the same game and field and everything that did that. Like I just it's one of those injuries that I just don't. It's such a freak injury to be able to step out as confidently as he did and play pretty well. I mean, he won like what 5-1 I think was his record as a starter for
Yeah,
uh Washington football team that year. Just an incredible all-around story and I cannot say enough praise for him for everything he did coming back from that. Like I said, I don't know very many people in this world that could do what he just did and it was incredible to watch and I wish him the best in his off season and being able to spend the time with his kids and everything like that. And I mean, the guy's made over 200 million over his entire career, so he's definitely got the money in the bank to not worry about it ever again. But my God, does this man deserve to like just sit down and chill for a little bit? Is I mean, incredible, incredible story, incredible player. You know, man, everything. I wished him the best in his off season, and I cannot say enough about how I'm happy that for him that he was able to go out on his terms and he was able to come back to the game, show that he could still do it a little bit, and then go out on his own terms.
Which, if you ever get the opportunity, there is I think there's a, I think it might be a 30 for 30, the special segments. I think it's by ESPN that covered his recovery and basically all the medical aspects of it. Well, I think it's a little bit graphic, something, but it is a really good watch. I went the whole thing, but from what I watched before, it was very, very interesting. Highly recommend. They go
Gotcha.
into
Yeah,
a lot more of what happened and how close to both dying, leg, and a little bit more about the surgery, which surgery was actually really good. That's what I think I read.
I was gonna say I mean he went through like 20 something surgeries. Like
Yeah.
it's amazing what he was able to do. It really was. I don't think people understand how hard it was for him to go through not only just the initial injury itself, but then to go through all of those surgeries, stay as, confident and as focused and everything as he was, to then reach a point where he was able to go like I said 5-1 I think as a starter is just absurd. It's just crazy. And I'm also glad and happy for him. Like I said, I think at the end of the day that he went out on his own terms, because if this was the injury that ended his career, you would hate it because you'd always be like, well, the what if he was able to stay healthy while Washington was, what if he was able to reignite his career in Washington as they were starting to rebuild. Like those kind of cool things pop up, and for him to go out there, go 5-1, play pretty well, and like he honestly played well enough where, no joke, and I'm being 100% serious, and I think you probably remember this, but I said that it would be nice to have him on the Bears, like if he's competing with another younger quarterback, something like that. Like obviously I don't want him to be the sole starter, but I definitely was like, I want him for the Bears. That's like, I saw enough from him as far as running the offense and everything that I would, even with the injury, I'd love to have him on the team, for the leadership aspect, the learning, everything like that, as well as being a reliable quarterback to back up whoever was going to be the starter. Like I said, I can't say enough about him, and I wish him the best and everything. And I don't think he'll be close to football for a bit. I think if anything, he'll probably take a couple years off and then come back to TV. I don't think he'll do anything coaching or anything like that. Doesn't seem the type from what I gather. He's more of that, like I feel like I could see him on TV as a guest or something like that on those shows. So
Yeah, you don't think he would go like a that guy, like one of the number one coaches? They all go to all the like in the off season. What is
Palmer,
his name? Who?
Jordan Palmer,
Yeah, like a guy like that, like a QB coach, like not necessarily coaching, but just like kind of
he
like
could
a
be.
mercenary.
He could be. I mean, I would definitely go to him. I mean, the guy's been with several Hall of Fame coaches or Hall of Fame player/coaches, and had several different offensive schemes, several different systems where like you could say like, yeah, I could easily see him being a guy that could advise kids. And he also seems like he has that attitude, especially being able to come back from this injury. He has like the patience to be able to help anybody out. So I would love for him to be like a quarterback guru for a lot of kids up and coming, even if it's just youth, or if it is like guys coming through college and stuff like that. That would be awesome. But whatever he does, wish him the best. We both do. Speaking for both of us, I know that we probably both wish him the best and hope that we're glad to see him go out in his own terms, and we're glad that he's going to hopefully enjoy retirement.
Yeah,
Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about too, which you could pull it up while I begin talking about it, is so Devonte Smith. I forgot to send you this. Devonte Smith and Tutu Atwell. Those are the two players I want to talk about, just because it kind of is an overarching conversation that I want to have about the NFL that's starting to happen. So that's kind of the intro for it. So if you want to look up Devonte Smith's official measurements as well as Tutu Atwell's official measurements. Yeah, right there. Perfect. Okay. So I'll talk about Tutu Atwell as well because I know his measurements. So we'll just leave this up. Anyways, what I wanted to get into is that what I'm really surprised by, and I think the NFL is moving in this direction, and I think we're starting to really see that, obviously, with the wide receivers coming through as well as previous players, is I think the NFL is starting to get to that point where smaller, thinner, quicker guys are going to last. And the reason why I say that is because we've seen guys in the past like Darren Sproles. It was kind of the first one to kind of fit this mold. And then you see Tariq Cohen and the Bears had a ton of success. Uh, yeah, you could say like, yeah, he got injured, but it's like his injury was on a illegal like flagged play, so that's not his fault. So what I would say though overall is it really is starting to seem like a trend in the NFL now where these smaller, quicker, thinner guys are coming to the NFL and going to be successful regardless of their size. Because it used to be a thing. It used to be a thing where you would worry about a player's injury status, injury potential, things like that, based on how thin they were. You were hoping maybe they would fill game, is the term people would use. So, uh, let's do this first. Oh, sorry. Just really quick. I just wanted to address this question. Your thoughts?
Any plans to do stuff for subscribers? Fun. I don't know. I was trying to think. If I had more free time on the side, I was trying to look at different like obviously like channel personals. Oh, it's like people do. Also, I don't know exactly for subscribers exactly to make it better. I know there's like channel rewards and things like that I really haven't tapped into ever. So I'm trying to learn that. But
Yeah,
um,
it's
list
more
your
so.
thoughts. Or
I will say that this is something that obviously is it's fun to like get on here and just talk sports for a bit, and we bring our topics and we bring our ideas and our own opinions on these things, and it's fun to talk about them and kind of just at the end of the day be able to sit down and have a beer and talk about whatever sports things are going on or whatever's going on to kind of get away from the world or whatever's happening and kind of just relax. So it's really nice to do it, and it's fun right now for sure. It would be nice, obviously, if we blew up. That would be great. Nobody's going to complain here for that, but yeah, it's one of those where starting a podcast, it's hard. It's always building from the ground up where you're kind of word of mouth a little bit at the beginning. There's things that I'm definitely going to think about trying to do. Maybe looking into maybe how other podcasts have kind of expanded or how they've gotten into the gotten into where they've gotten enough of a base that they are starting to grow. So it's really hard at the beginning. I think me and you are basically kind of getting better at it anyways while we're doing this. And it's one of those where podcasts, like I said, always start from the ground up, but we also are getting better while doing it at this level. So as we get better, I'm assuming that will kind of also play a factor into whether or not we get more and more subscribers.
yeah, I could tell you I have a list of things that I have think about as well. Like I know obviously there's some things like graphically I want to do. I've been trying to think of different ways to present what we're talking about on screen because lots of times we're something video or if it's copyright content, we can't upload the clips to. Maybe there's a way we'd be able to look at it on stream, but then have a replacement image or something for the video. Is something I was thinking about as well. Also, like in terms of like interactability with chat, I was thinking about like different alerts, different certain ways to like bring things up on screen possibly. There's lots of ideas there and I should probably write them down, but lots of technical things, just like different ways for me to also see each other. Right now we're just doing a patchwork way of making it work, and also a different like audio thing, make sure audio is balanced 100% of the time. There's a lot of technical stuff I'd love to go through and show the technical stuff. I'm just trying to like bozo my way through. Also, probably play games in the future
Yeah.
too. Like that's
Yes,
normal
I
too.
actually thought about that too. I was playing like because I have now that I have with my computer and everything like that, I actually have the ability to play different games.
Yeah, we need to use that.
I actually just got college revamped on my computer working fully.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be fun to do. I don't know if anybody on YouTube has seen Not the Expert. He's one of my favorite YouTubers for that kind of stuff. He does a lot of college football stuff, and I would love for to watch that. Oh God, yeah.
Dude, I always got destroyed in Madden. My girlfriend destroys me in Madden. I don't know what it is, but like I just collapse anytime I play. But if we did like a historical teams and stuff, or like different rosters against each other, like
Oh,
for
that'd be
instance, when
fun.
I had the I had like a bug or something when I was playing Madden a few weeks ago, where it just like restarted my game and completely shuffled all the roster positions. Oh, and like no sense of normalcy. I think like Aaron Rodgers was a lineman at one point, and then like Trubisky, I think, because it was an older version of the game, was like a fullback, which probably was actually a better idea than quarterback, but still, like it just came out really weird, strange. And
Yeah,
scrub balls, you think too slow? Yeah, exactly. I
yeah.
collapse and I just press buttons.
I collapse. I yeah, I just well, and we also when me and you played on the same team, that was also entertaining because we could do like a series with that where we play on like the same Madden team,
Dude, the
and it's just
blacktop in NBA, those were
and
some of the best times ever.
and we make you the quarterback because that's ultimately the best fun right there is if you're the quarterback. And I'm just
Yeah.
yelling at you, Dylan, throw the fucking ball at the
Yeah.
slant. And you're like, I didn't see him. And I'm like, Dylan, love of God. The amount like we it was funny because when me and you have played Madden together though, it's been like a freaking like I feel like if we had filmed our sessions of playing Madden together, if we easily could have been
I know, which is why
views.
we totally should do that, especially in the off season. That's a great idea. We could do
Another
like a
idea we
news
could
portion and then move into that.
Another idea, Dylan. Since you play a lot of it, Rocket League. We can do like a get me good at Rocket League.
Yeah,
do
well, I'm
me
not I'm the person exactly, but I would love to do that. It's fun for
do like
sure.
do that series. There's a lot of ideas we have moving forward. We're just breaking into it. Like this is literally this podcast has been an idea where I mean there was that one night where me and you where it was after a drinking game. Yeah, and yeah, that happens with a lot of games too. But is the people just get too good? But this podcast started when me and you we did a drinking night with all of our friends on Zoom, like we do every weekend or every other weekend. And it was one of those where I'd said to you previously before, like we should do a podcast. We should do a podcast just
Yep.
because it'd be fun. Like I knew it would be entertaining for us to just talk. And so we started it that way, and then I think we actually it was like after the podcast or after the game night we were all drunk and it was like 12 o'clock at night, which would be midnight, and so I was just like let's go through like Mac Jones footage or something, and we literally just did like an hour and something session of like Mac Jones footage, and like shout out to like the two or three people that were watching that whole entire time. Like it was just two drunk people reviewing like a quarterback. it was
My
it was
previous
fun.
followers must have been so confused because it was literally just like Rocket League and playing Warzone, and then all of a sudden like a quarterback analysis footage like,
Also, so all
at
of a
2 in the
sudden, both of
morning.
them are drunk and both of them are trying to talk about a quarterback.
Yeah, it was absolutely the weirdest thing. But the number one thing that stuck out that I could just think off the top of my head is two things. One of them being if some sort of betting in doing games like that, like obviously probably the most way is to do like channel points and stuff. Like you do polls on like who's going to win. Or I know that during Amazon broadcast and stuff, the NFL, they've also
Yeah,
been doing things like what's the next outcome of the play? Like is this drive gonna end with a touchdown, a field goal? Doing that like in a microcosm of games, I think that's fun as well too. Any sort of like interactability, yeah, voting. See anything with the voting is cool because the goal is to eventually, assuming this is one of the first nights in a while, I think we've had a like a consistent flowing chat. We'd also like to
mm,
throw that up on screen because I like that interactability as well. It's just normally we don't have enough people chatting for that to be a realistic thing yet. So in the future we'd be looking at that. But second point being the NBA blacktop that I was thinking of specifically that I would have loved to have that I would love to have clips of was I think because I was so bad I am still so bad at the NBA.
Oh,
At the NBA
yeah,
was
I
me playing
remember.
with like Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant
No, I think you had
versus
LeBron.
Isaiah Thompson, and
No,
then
okay, yes, I had
Muggsy Bogues,
Isaiah Thomas, Muggsy Bogues, and Spud Webb. That was the
and
greatest.
I lost every time. Every time.
Oh my god, I remember that. That was amazing. Like,
So we
dude,
could
I've
do that
never seen.
again.
What?
So we could do that again.
Oh
You'd get
yeah,
that.
we could definitely do that. We could do that, and then you know what, Dylan, too, is we could do like a vote and like for like a thing too is like what players I should play with against you next. And
Yeah.
then you get to always choose like who you get to play with, but then I get to play with like whoever they choose for me. So that would be
Yeah.
great.
What's
Oh
the top
man,
fan mock drafts? Explain that a little bit more because I want to see that. I want to know what you're talking about with that. I think I have an idea. Spud Webb versus Cammy Matembo, dude, I'd still lose. It's because I don't know the game.
Spud Webb
Can't
versus
wait to
the
watch the top two
Kanbei.
and watch the draft. Can you do that one in
No,
person
no,
together and
no.
just get sloshed? That's what I was thinking. I again, legalities are the most annoying part of this, especially with you watch any other things on Twitch, is like DMCA and anything else. But on the draft, I would imagine we couldn't broadcast the footage, maybe the audio. I don't know. It might literally just be
No.
a React thing.
Yeah, we don't really need to do the footage. Like if we were in person or a big Zooms call and give a team or to one person, that's funny. Yeah, they're like all these are great ideas. All these are great ideas, and definitely going in the docket for. But I think for the draft, I don't think we need to broadcast the draft because like watching previous drafts, like podcasts and stuff, they never did that. So I think that's okay if we don't, because it's always them talking about like this year is going to be like last year was like trauma draft where it's like all right what drama or what no last year's draft was like what dead person in their
Yeah.
life or like what tragedy happened like
Yeah.
that. So like watching the draft is really not, you don't need to watch the draft for them to be like well, this is a great pick, he's got a lot of upside, I really like this pick, all right, let's throw it over to you
Oh
buddy,
no,
and then
I
it's
meant
like
just more of like literally the picking part, like just literally cutting to them walking up to the stage and then being like, fullback from
oh like the
Indiana,
select.
whatever. But Reacts only, yeah, Reacts only would be a dream,
Mhm.
honestly. I always envy the people who are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars just to watch YouTube videos for six
Oh, it's a
hours.
react.
No, saying like we should just do Reacts, so like no audio because that'd be copyright, no video, just us talking and then having it so we can see it, but not it
Good,
can't get broadcast.
good wheel buoy.
Good
um
wheel.
good wheel. Oh, I love that. Good LGG. God. Yeah, no, I'm the funny part about that is I'm off
Damn.
on Friday, and draft night is Thursday.
Oh,
So
is it? Okay.
I could get blacked out, and I'm okay because I don't have work the next day.
Yeah. I'd be fine regardless. I have some coffee, keep it under control. You could probably lose your mind. Yeah, Miller. Oh my god.
Fuck that.
It should be if
Oh,
they take a quarterback or if they have a reach and we could define what a reach is, like that's like a double shot of Malort or something. Like it is
well,
a
I think
certifiably terrible move.
we can create some drinking games for it. So I think like we could do like
Download
um
doesn't even work.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, more or less.
Download. No, okay. So my work schedule for everybody out there wondering is I work in surgery, so I'm like very like I have like the nicest schedule on the planet where I literally downloads and
Downloads the brains. Quarterback. All right, let's keep. I
that's
don't
why
know.
Dylan is that's why you're the QB, Dylan. It's
Yeah.
'cause, um but
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, so no, I do I do work. I work in surgery at a dermatologist office. So I am the head of the surgery department there. So I work only Monday through Thursday, and then one Saturday a month. I have like the nicest schedule ever, where I get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, like 3 weeks out of 4.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful. But anyways, no, I'm off on Fridays always. I never work a Friday, so I can get 100% just beyond recognition. Hopefully by the time the Bears pick, I'm drunk enough to not care about how shitty it is.
or forget at that point.
Yeah, or just wake up and be like, how bad did we fuck it up, Dylan? Like, oh god, that would be great. I do want to for 100% like do a live stream of that because my god, that would be great. And we got drinking games galore. I'm wearing the Bears jersey. I'm going to be crying maybe by the time the Bears pick.
Yeah,
So,
works hard to get wasted. Exactly.
by the way, I 100% this is going to sound really stupid, but I don't see this on my end of the screen. Am I the top or you the top?
Um, you are the top. I am the
All right,
bottom.
there we go. Thank you. Thank you. Now I understand what everybody's been saying. I was fucking confused for a minute there because I was like, all right, I've let this go too long.
Yeah,
Especially because we're both Dylan and Dylan. It's confusing, especially spelled the exact same way. It's just like whenever, yeah. Anyways, unless it's
yeah.
wine, dude. Oh, oh man, I could probably get drunk off like a bottle and a half of wine.
What?
Like we get drunk off of wine.
Oh, um, like
I don't
how
drink
much?
white wine though. I'd only drink red.
Oh,
My
I
first
the opposite. I hate.
funny story. The first time I ever got drunk in my life was I drank 2 bottles of Lambrusca. And
What was that?
the only thing I remember from that night is somebody walking their dog, some dude who obviously was also drunk, walking his dog at like and walking his dog at like 10 p.m., like 11 p.m. Like it was bad. And I remember because I was sitting on my porch and I drank 2 bottles of Lambrusco, and I remember talking to this man about how there's certain words in the alphabet that have 2 letters back to back the same, like vacuum.
Oh,
That's the only thing I remember from that conversation.
what was it?
Uh, it's not Larusa, it's Lambrusco or something like that. If you look it up, it's not good. Let's put it that way. It's not a great wine. My grandfather, who was like, his fam's from Italy, drank it, and yeah. Oh, pink Moscato. Why are we so like? Why did we get drunk off this weird? Like, why was it not like
Cheap,
yeah, I
probably.
drank 10 Coors Lights and then passed out? Like, no, ours is like I drank 2 bottles of Lambrusco.
No
Ugh,
experience. What was going to be bad?
from Aldi to clarify. Ooh, yeah, but Aldi has actually some good liquors every once in a while. Shout out to Jaeger and pizza. Oh man,
I haven't had Jaeger. Definitely
I
a Jaeger bomb.
I was I like Jaeger bombs, but I'll bring over some kind of liquor, Dylan. I have all kinds here. We're definitely my favorite shot of all time for anybody out there. I don't know if you guys know what the shot is. I'm assuming you do, but it's called the Buttery Nipple. My favorite shot. Yeah, it's sweet, but it's literally my favorite shot. So I have the two things. I actually just bought 2 more bottles to make it, which is just butterscotch schnapps and a Irish cream. I bought Carolyn's Irish cream because it's like half the price of Bailey's, and it doesn't change the taste really that much. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, yeah. So, and then I have a bunch of liquors here. Oh, we could Dylan. We could drink my favorite. You know what my favorite liquor is, Dylan?
Oh, what's that?
Fireball.
Oh, yeah. I don't even hate Fireball. Like, I'm not a hater, but it's good.
I love Fireball. I got it when I I was up the top. I mean, I am vaccinated at this
Yeah.
point.
I
And you,
got 12, 12, 10 more days.
oh, until your second shot.
No, until like that's post my 2 weeks. That's like the full period.
Yeah, we were on it. We went full on tangent from that one
Well,
question.
might as well delve deep into that. I had my I had
Yeah, exactly. Drinking is a sport. Some are better at others.
my second shot. I had a fever that came on about 4 or 5 hours after I got the shot, and then it got worse into the night where I had chills that kept me awake and like but then I
You
was
said your
still was kind of messed up in the morning and I felt better around like 10, 11 a.m. the next morning.
you said your second shot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You had
Yeah.
Moderna?
Yeah, Moderna fucks you up for sure.
That's funny
I've
because
heard,
Alyssa had the Moderna, and the only thing she felt was just tired.
I thought she said she got super up on.
No, she's
What?
lying. If she's lying, I was with her. She's lying if she says that. She's watching this. She's probably gonna text me. I
I
hope
don't know.
I'm probably gonna get a text.
Sounds like a liar. I heard that she had a similar situation to what I did. Perfect. My username, the color purple.
It is probably what I would call frog green.
Yeah, that's good. Actually, it is.
That's what I said. See, that's why I thought about it for a second. Frog green was what popped in my head.
Yeah, and on Twitch, you're just coming up with.
Mm, mm.
You had better Twitch chat or BT if they change your color. But
Oh, really?
yeah, that on there. Yeah, exactly. Yep, I probably wasn't paying attention at all. It's fine.
Listen, I think we went. What did we do? What did we do? We watched Mission Impossible 3. I made her watch Indiana Jones. Uh, not we watched the first one and she wasn't impressed, and then we watched the second one and it was much better.
What? The second one's terrible. First,
What?
I hated the second. I don't like the second one. It's
The
bad.
second one?
First and the third are where it's at. Yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What you
Temple
don't
of
like?
Doom?
No, Raiders of the Rock. No, Temple of Doom's the first one.
What isn't?
Yes, it
How
is.
dare you? No, not.
Is it
Raiders of the
really?
Lost
Is it not?
Ark, Temple of
Am I just
Doom,
a? Oh boy, here we go. Am
Lost
I
Crusade.
dumbass?
Don't come at me with that shit.
Am I dumbass? Look this
Love
up.
Harrison Ford
I
movies.
thought Temple of Doom was first.
No.
We're straight up. Somebody check this. Temple of the Dog is what popped up, by the way. I just want to put that out there. That was the first thing that popped up.
Why not Office Space or Iron Giant? I don't think I've
Raiders of the Lost
actually
Ark was
seen
3 years
Office.
before. Okay, well, fuck Temple of the Doom. It's not a good movie.
It's not good, exactly.
It's really not. She liked anyways, we watched them out of order. My bad, I fucked up.
So
Raiders
which one
of
did
the
she
Lost
like?
Ark. What?
Which one did she like then?
She liked Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was
Okay.
a better movie. It's a much better movie.
Yeah.
So we still have the Last Crusade to watch.
That it's also good. It's better than the second one.
I do want to point out that I say it every time and nobody's commented on it, is every time we play Murder Mystery in Jackbox, I always say I pick the Indiana Jones one and nobody recognizes what I say.
Maybe the
Yeah, in the Last Crusade, he chooses the one that doesn't look fancy, and it's the Holy Grail.
I know.
And I always choose that one in Murder Mystery, and I always say that I choose that, and nobody ever says anything.
Hey, what is there to say? I gotcha. I know that's
but then people pick it, and I kill them, and I'm like, okay, well, I gave it to you, I gave the answer.
Everyone's so burned out.
It's not my fault that you don't know good movies.
Drawful actually is a fun game. I actually did like that one. I think that's.
No, Drawful's the one where you actually have to. No, the T-shirt one's like a different. The Drawful one's where you actually have to like draw something, and then people guess what the drawing is.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
all right. Let's rein this in back to sports real quick. Let's get back to the main topic. I'll finish this segment I was trying to discuss with you because we've gotten way too off topic.
See, look at how good we are at other stuff too.
Yeah, see, as well as Dylan. This is why I said we need to do a podcast, and here we are. So, anyways, back to what we were talking about. I can't even see what that emoji is. General entertainment. Yeah, basically. Listen, we will go off on other tangents. It does happen. Anyways, back to what we were saying. I was basically highlighting before we got on this tangent that NFL teams are starting, what it seems like is the NFL starting to trend towards the smaller, more athletic, quicker, faster, but thinner. And, maybe the players that you would have thought would be an injured before or would be an injury prone player before are now starting to come in the NFL and be successful. We've seen this with Darren Sproles starting it out, Tariq Cohen, Tyreek Hill, all these guys. I mean, even Lamar Jackson, much thinner quarterback than most others, still being able to evade hits and everything, and as well as protecting players and everything. And the way that that's kind of gone, it's made it a lot easier for those quicker guys to kind of evade the big hit and instead take a smaller one. So, yeah. So it's just, uh, oh, thank you for joining us then.
Yeah,
Um, and yes, anything we talk about after this, again, always up on our YouTube. Uh, but anyways, so yeah, so the Heisman winner right here, 6'2", 166 pounds. Obviously, right off the bat, you're like, oh, like even the first comment says he's going to drop. You would think that he's going to drop, but I don't think he is. I just don't think that's the case because there's just too many ways that you could use him that wouldn't be, detrimental to his health. Like if you're going to line him up on the outside and make him just a straight up wide receiver one or whatever, it's not going to work. But if you watched Alabama play, the way that they utilized him the entire time was moving him before the snap and getting him in motion before that, or lining up in the slot where he's always facing a smaller corner and more likely of an opportunity to get open on the move and utilize the quickness and speed and route running ability that he has. I think if that's how he's used in the NFL, he's going to be fantastic. He's going to be an electrifying player that brings a dynamic to your offense that other teams wish they had. So I don't think he's going to fall. Maybe obviously I think that the other wide receiver out of LSU, can't remember his name at the moment. He's going to be drafted first ahead of Devontae Smith. The reason why is because he is the bigger prototypical wide receiver, being 6'1", I think he's like 205 or something like that. So he's a fantastic route runner, fantastic explosibility, fantastic speed, all of the things you want to check off the list for a wide receiver. He's that. So he's going to go before Devontae Smith, but I do think Devontae Smith is going to go second in this draft. Where he's going to go, I don't know. I'd have to do another mock. Probably I'll do my final mock here. We're not going to record a podcast next week then if we're doing the draft live, I would assume, right?
What day is the draft?
Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, then I wouldn't do that then.
So, yeah, so I won't. So maybe I'll do a mock and we'll just that'll be our intro to the draft. We'll look at the mock and then kind of see if my final decisions on the picks are going to be. But I would have him going second on the wide receiver board, even ahead of Jalen Waddle, just because I think Devontae Smith is just a better wide receiver. And then there was another wide receiver, Tutu Atwell, too, who I've really liked as far as a speedster out of Louisville. But he weighed in he measured in at 5'8", 149 pounds.
Wow.
So, yeah. So small. Is very small. But what I like about him is his speed, his quickness, his agility, his return ability, everything about that. And so that's kind of how I feel, is that these guys are going to be successful no matter what. What do you think about the NFL kind of turning into this, not NFL turning into, but NFL kind of becoming this league that's okay for these smaller, quicker, faster guys to get in there?
The last person you were talking about, you said they were 5'8", 158 pounds?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was 5'8", 149 pounds.
Wow, okay. So just compare that to Devontae Smith. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I guess intuition is that he might be more eligible to get hurt. I think it was kind of interesting that despite, I think it was, 4 years or 3 years at Alabama, whichever it actually was. I mean, they pretty much are an NFL team in terms of how their dietitians and their workout rooms and stuff and everything are. And still, I think from high school, he only gained 5 pounds from that. So that's, I don't even think about that.
And I do want to point out real quick, Allen Robinson, for comparison, is 6'2" as well. But I think Allen Robinson weighs in the upwards of 205 to 220 range. So, yeah, so a 40-pound difference, 50-pound difference even in wide receivers. So, yes, definitely undersized for sure. But yeah, I just think that what you're saying with Alabama, what you were just saying about how he worked at Alabama, I think it's because it's how you use them. Really, is how it goes. I think you look at Darren Sproles' career and why was Darren Sproles so successful? It's because he was used the proper way. He wasn't Tariq Cohen last year was one of the worst uses of a player I've ever seen in my life because Tariq Cohen ran the ball several times every single game up the middle. And it just made no sense to me whatsoever because Tariq Cohen is 5'6", 170 pounds or whatever he is, 160 pounds. And does not need to be running up the middle in any capacity. But if utilized correctly, whether it be jet sweep motions and then into a route or out of the slot or out of the backfield running routes, things like that, or even running pitches and stuff like that, that's where those players need to be used. And so, I'll let you finish. I was just addressing that real quick and trying to put that in context. Yes, 166 pounds is near 40 to 50 pounds lighter than some of the wide receivers at the same height.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, no, and just to address the point about, yeah, the biggest of the big and the smaller, the leaner athletes will take over in the position they're not necessarily required to be. So yeah, I can see that. That seems like how they've been moving linebackers. I mean, not linemen, but linebackers. I mean, are way way lighter than they used to be, right? Not as heavy as they.
Yeah,
Safeties are more quick.
Yep, you're getting a lot more players coming into the league that are kind of interchangeable. So, obviously Isaiah is one of the exceptions, being how he was 6'4", 235, and as quick as he was. But it is becoming a thing where if you look at the guy from Notre Dame, I think he's only like 215, 220, somewhere in that range as far as weight goes, coming in at middle linebacker position. So it's definitely becoming a lot more athletic. And the reason why is because you have guys coming in the league that are, like a Devontae Smith who is 6'2", 166 pounds, and you're not going to be able to catch him. So it's one of those where you need the guys to be able to catch him. And so linebackers are starting to get a lot more agile as well.
Yeah. What was another point that I wanted to point out as well? I was going with safety, linebackers later. Oh yeah, I like the idea that the NFL is like going to be cyclical and always has been. Is like as light the athletes tend to be lighter, there'll be a reversal in the trend of like the Patriots going with more of a run first offense and that being successful because and then eventually it'll pivot backwards because there's counters to that. I subscribe to that idea. I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's really how it works or if it's like a permanent change, but I read about that, looked into that, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So maybe the same thing is happening again.
Yeah, I will say that I'm intrigued with the way that the offense. I love this type of offense that's been happening lately, and it's it's players getting utilized the way they should be utilized. The olden days of not too long ago, we would always say a quarterback needs to have a cannon for an arm, needs to be big. Then you look at wide receiver, you need a good wide receiver, bigger wide receiver to catch the ball, going across the middle, everything like that. You need a running back who is going to be able to be a workhorse. You need your offense line to be big. You need your defense line to be big. You need your linebackers to be good size because they need to play inside the box. You need your safety. Your strong safety needs to be a little bit bigger to deal with kind of inside the box players. Your free safety can be a little smaller. That's okay. And then corners could be smaller, but they couldn't be really under like a number one corner really couldn't be 5'10" or up or 5'10" or lower. Like that was kind of too small. You would be a slot corner. Nowadays, I mean, you look at like Jair Alexander for the Packers. He's 5'10". You look at Adoree Jackson, who he played a little bit more slot, but he could play number one. He was like 5'9", 5'10". Um, you see a lot of these guys come in the league now who are a little bit smaller that can still play outside because the game has kind of changed to where it's a little bit faster and we're really just starting to utilize players the way they should be utilized. So a guy like Tariq Cohen, for example, would never make the old NFL because he'd be too small for a running back, too small for wide receiver, and would never play. But now we see him used as a punt returner. We see him used in the slot. We see him used as a running back catching routes outside or running routes outside the backfield. That's what I really enjoy about the NFL nowadays is that players are being utilized in the way that they should be utilized. Like, for example, Kyle Pitts. He's one of my favorite prospects. He's up there with Isaiah Simmons. By the way, we were saying Isaiah Wilson. It's Isaiah Simmons.
Okay.
Isaiah Simmons coming out of the draft. He's probably one of my favorite prospects of all time. Kyle Pitts is my next favorite. Kyle Pitts is a wide receiver tight end hybrid. He should 100% be used off the line and not lined up in a traditional tight end position. What I mean by that is you should look at the offense that the Chiefs run with Kelsey. That's how he should be used. He should never be forced to line on the line unless it is for a specific reason, whether it be, he needs to block in that route because they're going power or whatever. He needs to be used as a more wide receiver tight end that will mismatch with a linebacker. That's how he should be used. That's how he's going to be used, and that's why Kyle Pitts can be so effective. He might not have been as effective 10, 15 years ago because the NFL relied more on tight ends being blocking, and then being a receiving tight end. I mean, you look at players like Jimmy Graham, Greg Olsen, they were blockers who were good receivers, and that's why they were so good in the NFL as tight ends. Now the NFL's gotten to the point now where George Kittle, Kelsey, all these guys are able to line up almost in a slot receiver position and allow them to be used the way they should be used, which is a mismatch for any linebacker that's trying to line up on them.
Yeah.
So that's really what I think about the NFL, and that's why I like this. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Do you have any extra thoughts you want to throw in there about it?
Now that pretty much that covers it up.
All right.
Moving on.
All right, so shifting from the NFL, let's roll over to our golfer of the day, or golfer of the podcast. So we're going to highlight Will Zellatoris. So I am really intrigued. Oh,
this man's got the same measurables as Devontae Smith.
Oh boy! All right, so what an introduction. He actually does, genuinely. So Will Zellatoris is the highlight of our golfers for the month. So obviously I've never heard of this person before the Masters. I'm sure you've never heard of this person before that either. He made second place at the Masters and played an incredible final 2 rounds at the Masters and played really like a professional who's been in it for 30 years. So what I learned about him, which is interesting. We'll kind of go through it. So right off the bat, you see 6'2", 165. We're joking because he's not that far, literally the same measurables as Devontae Smith, playing different sports. 24 years old, out of Wake Forest. He just turned pro in 2018. This was his first Masters, and this was really where he began to make the most noise and become kind of a household name that I think he will be in the future. Reason why I think he'll be that in the future is because if you did watch the Masters along with many, many others, and what you did see was not only Hideki lighting it up and winning it like he deserved, but you also saw Will Zellatoris right there in contention at such an incredibly young age and showing such poise that you would see out of a guy like Tiger or Mickelson or something like that going into the final round. What I learned about him was quite interesting, actually. So one, apparently he actually had a sports psychologist that he was seeing during his junior days in high school as well as in college, which really basically kind of helped him to develop a specific routine that he always has, as well as kind of develop the mentality that he has where, like I said, you saw him where he was basically almost unfazed the entire time. And he was pretty straightforward, down to business, what you would see out of a veteran, which was really interesting. And that's why I think he was very successful in the way that he was. And that's why I think he'll be successful moving forward, because at such a young age, he's somehow mastered the mental side of golf, which is really, really crucial to being able to play, yourself into tournaments in round 3 and 4. So what I also learned about him, though, he's got a very interesting swing to him. So we saw last time we highlighted Bryson DeChambeau, who's got a very interesting swing as well, and a very unique swing to his own set of golf skills and everything in the way that he goes about it. So with Will Zellatoris, it's kind of interesting too, because he has a very unique, you could almost never see his face, but as soon as you see his swing, you recognize it as him. So the way that he kind of does it, generally when a golfer goes for a swing, there is a plane or a line that you kind of try to keep your wrists at the entire time when you go back and when you come forward. You want to basically go down that line. If you're a one-plane golfer, you're always on one side of the plane. If you're a two-plane golfer, your wrist kind of fluctuates between the two during that follow through, or that going back and follow through. For him, it's kind of interesting. He's a one-plane golfer, so he's always on one side of it. But if you notice, he goes back, it stays on the same plane, that same line kind of following through to the ground from the ball to his shoulder. And then when he comes through, he actually kind of gets away from the line pretty far. And but he's able to kind of make up for it by he like dips his shoulder down really far, kind of almost like looks like he's crunching, like scrunched over when he actually makes contact with the ball. And it kind of allows him to overcorrect the issue that he has not keeping, in a straight line. And he's able to hit the ball pretty consistently, accurately where he wants to go. And that's why he was where he was in the Masters. It's an odd swing for sure. It's not exactly how it would be taught and not exactly what you would want to follow walking, learning how to swing the golf club correctly, but it works for him, and that's what matters. So, I mean, he'll definitely probably have to correct it a little bit in his future in order to kind of avoid back issues, because he does kind of overcorrect kind of harshly with his back, and that can cause a lot of issues when you get older. But for now, it works for him. So, and he's doing very well with it. So, moving forward, if it continues to work for him, I can't see him going away from it. It's just a thought that he might need to change that in the future. The other things that I noticed about his swing too, not only does he dip the shoulder down, but he also, when he starts, his stance is a little open, so he kind of corrects himself. And in golf, if you slice the ball to the right, sometimes you may open your stance a little bit, where you place your left foot instead of level with your right, or parallel with your right, you placed it slightly back, so that way it kind of opens your stance up a little bit more. He kind of starts like that most of the time. Interesting, because it's almost like he's correcting for what he knows is already in his swing. Again, it works for him right now, so all for it. He might have to adjust his swing later on in life, again, because of the back issues that could occur in his type of swing, as well as maybe just correcting it in order to be a little bit more consistent, and kind of a healthier swing moving forward. But for now, again, it works. He does do an interesting thing with his putter where he pins it against his forearm, his front forearm, in putting, which is different than most golfers. Bryson DeChambeau, who I mentioned earlier, and one of the golfers we've highlighted before, does this as well. It's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know if it'll be a trend moving forward, but it works for him. He putted very well, and it kind of helps to stabilize everything. It's almost similar to how I believe Adam Scott used to do it and other golfers used to do it, where they would pin it against their shoulder, and they had that really long putter that would go all the way up to their shoulder. I think those got banned, if I remember correctly, but this is kind of a different version of that. So we'll see how that continues and whether that becomes a trend. But it works for him well, obviously, again. And then the other thing too is that if you really look at his stats and kind of how he did in the Masters, his short game and his approach to the green was incredible. A lot of his shots were right on target. His drives kind of were iffy. He can drive the ball pretty far. I think he's ranked 20th in his drive distance. I think at like 306 or 307. You can see that if you scroll down. But essentially, he drives the ball really well. It's just a little inaccurate at times. So that can be kind of an issue. But yeah, so that's something that he can fix down the road. So 307.6 right there at the top left. So but if you look at his scoring average, as well as, like I said, his approach to the green, his short game is really what sets him apart and what really helped him in the Masters, because with those greens being as rough as they were and as unforgiving as they were, because it was a tighter green that let the ball roll a lot more, he was able to set it so close to the hole that he didn't really have to worry about it kind of rolling off on him. So that really helped him, and that's why he was so successful in the Masters. And that's real Zellatorius to a T. And again, just a really young golfer that has been making a lot of noise, made himself a household name in this Masters tournament. And I'd love to see how his career goes moving forward. Again, it's a very intriguing prospect because of his mentality and the way that he goes about the tournament, and the way that he does not really kind of waver in his emotions or anything like that, which is kind of incredible for a 24-year-old who's in his first Masters. He was able to play very controlled, very routine, almost like he was just any other golfing tournament. And that's, again, why I think that he'll succeed moving forward. So, any thoughts on him at all? If I don't know if you really saw him at the Masters or have heard of him
I do
before.
not know the golf game very well. This is very much your area for it. But
Well,
yeah,
that is our goal, is to try to learn more and more golfers, try to highlight at least once, maybe, maybe one a month, or one or two a month, depending on who kind of makes noise. He was kind of one of the younger ones that made some noise, so as kind of the one I wanted to highlight because of how well he performed. And that's, yeah, it was really intriguing. And I really look forward to seeing him in future majors, making a lot of noise like I think he will.
yeah. Cool. What else? I forget if this
All
is
right.
golf as well. This is not golf.
Before,
Oh,
yeah,
this
let's,
is.
okay. So we'll move on to this. Chet Holmgren, the number one prospect this year, signed with Gonzaga. And I will say that watching him play is intriguing because you almost don't notice his size. Like, he's 7 foot tall, but when you watch him play, I don't want to make the comparison because there's only one of him, but he reminds me a lot of the style of play that you would see out of a young Durant or Giannis.
Huh.
And I don't want to put that on him as like he's going to be either one of those players. I don't know if he's going to. I have to see him at Gonzaga to be able to tell you. I need to see him at a little bit of a higher level of play than just high school. Watching his high school highlights was impressive. I mean, the guy would pull up from three, he would beat you off the dribble, he would pull up from anywhere on the court. He would, he had the good turnaround fadeaways. He had some really nice footwork on his post moves, if I remember correctly. He followed balls well on rebounds, offensive rebounds. He basically did everything well, and that's why he's such an intriguing prospect, because of how well rounded his game is at such an incredible height, being 7 foot tall. So yeah, I don't know. I don't. It's hard because he's rated so high, but I just don't know. Like, watching him, there's just something off about it where I just don't know how successful he can really be. So I really need to see him first. But I will say this is obviously the highest draft pick that Gonzaga has ever gotten. Fun fact too, Jalen Suggs, who was their best player at Gonzaga, was Chet's teammate last year. So imagine those two players on the same team. uh, Insane. And Suggs was their best prospect they had ever recruited at Gonzaga, and now Suggs' old teammate Chet takes that over as the number one prospect that Gonzaga has ever gotten in school history. So very interesting. Really intriguing. I think that if he was going to go anywhere, Gonzaga, Duke, those type of schools would have been perfect for him because they develop him correctly. And I think he needs to be developed a little bit. I think his game is so good already, but it needs to be developed. I don't know. There's just something about him. I don't want to name him an immediate star. And it's funny because if you look at his ratings right here, I mean, he's got a 5-star 100 rating from 24/7 Sports. He's got a 1.0 composite, which you rarely see in history of any prospects. I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know how I feel entirely about him. Watching his film didn't give me enough confidence to be able to say that he's going to be 100% successful and reach the hype. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So, but
Have
yeah,
not heard
so
of him before now, honestly.
yeah, it's kind of one of the it's an odd year, obviously, with COVID and everything like that. People don't see that, but he was definitely one of those players that I've seen clips of him, but he didn't make like as much noise as like a Zion or somebody did. But being rated as high as he is, I mean, he might be rated higher than Zion coming out of high school, which is wild. So that's where I'm like, I don't know if the rating meets the player correctly. Like, I don't know if the hype is going to be too high for him. It reminds me of like a Christian Leitner almost, and it's not like Christian, or almost he reminds me a lot, actually, not so funny, of the guy from the Bulls. Oh, it's Kukoc. He reminds me a lot of Kukoc in his play, like just
Oh,
7 footer who can shoot, who can play well down low and plays good defense. I just don't think he'll ever reach superstar level. I think he's got more of a Kukoc ceiling, which is not bad by any means. Kukoc was obviously a fantastic player for the Bulls and was crucial to them winning those final 3 championships. But I just think that that's his. I don't think his ceiling is Durant. I think his ceiling is more Kukoc.
Yeah, interesting. That's funny.
Yeah, I know I might get like the whole like, oh, it's another 7-foot white guy that you're comparing them to, but that's just their game is so very similar. And I know I mentioned another 7-foot white guy in Christian Laettner, but their games are just again so similar that those are what I'm thinking of, and that's what pops in my head initially when I see him play. And obviously, like I said, Durant and Giannis popped in my head, but I just don't see Giannis and Durant out of him. When I saw Giannis at Greece, like I was my friend Craig actually backed me up on it. He was like, "Yeah, I remember you telling me that Giannis was going to be good, like he was going to be great coming out of the draft." And he was like some 18-year-old kid out of Greece. But watching Giannis play, it just felt like I knew he was going to be good. I just don't have the same feeling with Chet. So we'll see how this goes. I obviously hope he reaches that potential because it's awesome for sports and in general. And March Madness next year will be wild if he reaches his potential. Because maybe Gonzaga can finally win it all. But we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I think is that the end of our sports? Oh no, there's this as well.
Oh, I just wanted this. This is a good feel good video. I just want to highlight this kid. Wild. I like watching this kid play. It's just it's inspiring, but it's also just insane because the level, like everything about it. I mean, he like obviously pull up shooting is a little harder for him, but like everything else, it's just his dribbling, his dribble moves. I mean, his athleticism,
He
being
has
able to
better
play.
handles than I have ever had or ever had the
Oh,
possibility of handling.
100%,
Stupid.
100%. I could play basketball for the rest of my life, and I feel like this kid will be better than me than I ever will be.
I haven't seen this before, so that's actually really cool.
Yeah, it's just fun. That's like I said, it's just a feel good, like good for this kid. Like it just, one of those things where it's like no matter what, you have going on, no matter where you're at in your life, no matter what is, happening, whatever's, affecting you, like this is the type of thing that you can overcome. And this is the
What
kind of
is
inspiration. I
that?
mean, yeah, this plays wild.
What is that pass? Not this play, next play.
Yeah, you went too far. Is this it right here? Yeah,
That's
I know.
awesome.
Wild. Like I said, just awesome. Just an inspiration. I just saw it and it just was one of those things where I was like, I have to highlight this. It's so incredible that I had to.
Yeah,
So
that's wow.
yeah. So
That's awesome.
shout out to this kid. Hope he, continues to have success. I hope he gets a scholarship somewhere. I would love to see him in college. Just amazing. Just it's great. I
Yeah, what's
love
his
it.
name? That's the only thing I don't see anywhere.
Yeah, I know. Of course they don't show that ever, which is so annoying that it's never really yeah, they had nothing in there.
No, it's
Oh,
not him.
Justin Cook is the person that made the video, probably. Wait, go back up. No, no, forget it.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny. Can't even figure out who it is, but very cool.
I'm sure you could figure it out with like a Google search, but like I said, I just want to highlight that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's finish up with this. This is actually I'm really excited for this now that I've done a little bit of research and watched the trailer. So,
Yeah,
what do you know of this? Let me get that first before I go through on it.
literally the only thing I know of this is just thinking of Iron Man 3 and how it was like a fake Mandarin and the 10 rings. That's pretty much it.
Yes. Okay. So you kind of know a little bit too, which is good. So I watched. Do you watch this trailer?
I did.
Okay, good. So one right off the bat, this movie looks intriguing because I do love, and I have to watch a lot of the old ones too with Bruce Lee, but I love the kind of the action. Like I loved IP Man; those movies were fantastic. I love the just the the Japanese art style or Chinese art style of doing those kung fu movies where it's just fun. It's just so much fun to watch and it's so entertaining and it's awesome. So I love those style of movies. And I love that they're finally, I'm very like I'm a person that like loves to see cultures and things like that explored well and represented well. So I love seeing finally, an Asian or a Marvel character of Asian descent, or really kind of showing through, and that's awesome. I think that the world that we live in, where this is movies finally greenlit, is great, and I'm excited for it. Just watching the trailer was awesome. Yeah, it's a teaser, so it's really not like the full thing, but yeah, there was a bunch of things that I learned about it that I was really interesting and I didn't know. So apparently, this has been kind of woven through the entire Marvel universe. It's one of those things again where you don't realize that it was there the whole time, but it was. So, for instance, Raza, I guess, ran one of the Ten Rings factions. You don't know who that is, but if you remember that in Iron Man 1, he gets taken by a group of soldiers in the beginning of the movie, and that group is run by Raza. And Raza is apparently a Ten Rings faction leader and operative. So
I
that's
Who's Raza? Do
he's
we
like
still don't know
the
that?
Middle Eastern guy, the bald guy that answers to the bad guy in the movie. Like you know how in
Oh
the
yeah,
original Iron Man movie there was the um his Tony's friend or father's friend or whatever that was ended up being the bad guy. The guy that he talked to that ran the group that kidnapped Tony initially,
right.
he's Raza. He apparently is one of the Ten Rings faction leaders. And so that was actually like a thing. Like that was supposed to be a thing.
Okay, yeah,
So that was a thing. Another thing too is in Iron Man 2, the agent there's an agent that gives uh Ivan, who ends up becoming Whiplash, the like papers to travel and everything like that, and has an exchange with him. It's an Asian guy. He's also in the Ten Rings. He was an agent of them as well. There's another instance in Ant-Man where in Ant-Man, the bad guy in that who becomes the Wasp, I believe. Ant-Man, what is it? What is his name? Or Yellow Jacket. He becomes Yellow Jacket, the bald guy
oh
who's
god,
running the
yeah.
tech company. He's selling, what did you say?
I just remember him from I think it was House of Cards or whatever
Yeah,
beforehand. He was just
that's
really
where I
super
remember him.
generic in Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's where I remember him too. But anyways, yeah. So he was selling the tech, and at one point there was a bunch of buyers like in the room, and he was like talking to them in the lab. One of the buyers, if you actually saw, it was like a little thing that like you weren't supposed to obviously know what it was unless you know what it was. I guess the buyer like on his neck had a tattoo of the Ten Rings. Um, and so like you couldn't see it like unless you knew what you were looking for, you wouldn't have seen it. But like he does have it if you go back. So like that was another interesting thing where like they popped up again there. Um, and then the other thing too is I watched this guy over at New Rockstars, this podcast there, or not podcast, YouTube channel at New Rockstars. They always break down everything Marvel fantastically, and there's somebody to go check out for sure. But they broke it down, and in his breakdown, he actually found in the image where there is that fight scene where they're in a cage, or they show the open cage fighting that's happening.
Mhm.
He is in it, and if you look on the left side of the screen, behind the cage is a symbol for Madripoor.
Okay.
So that's where the fighting's taking place. Which a lot of
Ooh.
people, I guess, that watched this trailer and knew that speculated that they would be in Madripoor and that the power broker would have a connection to Mandarin in Ten Rings.
Have you been keeping up to date with the Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Yes, we're up to date on the whole thing. We got to the point where they, didn't reveal what was in the case.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I was just thinking of Madripoor and the Power Broker.
yeah, that's why I'm mentioning that. So that's yeah. So that apparently that's another thing too. They think that that's connected to the Mandarin as well. So the other thing too that I'll say is and this is something that you kind of again don't know unless you know about the character, which I learned about watching these videos and doing research on him. I guess the Ten Rings is these, or I guess they're these Asian or alien technology that was taken that have developed into these rings. They were actually initially worn on the hand. In the movie or the trailer, it looks like they're actually rings that go around the guy's arms,
Yeah.
five on each arm. And essentially, they allow the user to have all kinds of abilities from being able to produce lightning, to produce ice, to produce or change reality a little bit, kind of reality stone esque. Things like that basically allows them to also be like almost immortal, where they're like centuries old. And the Mandarin is supposed to be centuries old. That's why they show like old fight scenes from different wars that have been fought previously. And it's all because the Mandarin is supposed to be like hundreds centuries old. So that's interesting as well. Didn't know that, but apparently that's what the Ten Rings are. So that's what this movie will center around. And the way that they pronounced it, by the way, this is how I'm going to pronounce it because this is how Kevin Feige pronounced it in his announcement. Is Shang-Chi. That's the way he pronounced the movie. So apparently Shang-Chi is the son of the Mandarin, and that's kind of the plot of the movie, is that he is supposed to take over the mantle or take over by his father's side. His father he has his daughter, who is the one that Shang-Chi is fighting in the ring, or in that like cage fighting or whatever. And apparently the daughter is like has been loyal to the father, but like the father is the way you're getting the gist from the trailer is that the father is showing favoritism to the son and wants him to basically take over for him. But obviously, Shang-Chi being like the uh, hero of the movie and a Marvel character, of course, is not going to do that. So that'll be intriguing and that'll be part of the plot, I'm assuming. So yeah, so I'm really excited for it. It actually was super interesting. Bill Pope is one of the people that's working on the movie, or one of the main people working on the movie with the director. Bill Pope, I've known him, but he is the one that did all of the wire working and special effects and everything for The Matrix.
Oh, I think I did hear something about that as well.
Yeah, so that's where he comes from.
Okay. Yeah, I did
The
not
direct
know too much background about this until you pretty much filled in a lot of it. Even though I watched the trailer, I still was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, that's why I watch these breakdowns and everything because I'm like, listen, I want to know a little bit about the character before I actually go into this because I'm like, who is this person? What does he do? What is he? What is it?
Yeah.
Uh, the other thing too I want to mention is the director of the movie is Destin Cretton. He was the director of Just Mercy, which is that Michael B. Jordan movie that came out not too long ago. I haven't watched it, but I've heard really good things about it, and it's on my list to watch. The Glass Castle, which again I guess was another good movie. And then Short Term 12, which I guess was another good movie. Short Term 12 actually had Brie Larson and Rami Malek, if I remember correctly. I haven't seen it, but again, apparently all three movies were good. So hopefully that bids well for him as a director for this movie, and hopefully again the movie is successful. And obviously it's welcoming in, or it is like one of the new, next movies, first movies welcoming in the new Marvel phase, and next sequence of events that'll happen over however many years. So really intriguing. Definitely a character I knew nothing about beforehand, but I'm definitely, after doing research, intrigued.
Yeah. No, yeah,
So
they are definitely taking a free will on, being able to do weirder things that are more interesting now, because they've made what they needed to make, and they have pretty much a free pass to do whatever they want.
yep.
So that's cool. It's cool to see.
All right.
Yeah.
Last thing, which I know is the last topic on the list of things to talk about, which we didn't get to, but I do want to kind of go on a little bit of a rant of, which I told you I was going to before, is the European Super League. That was a plan that has now since fallen through in the last few days. Uh, it initially was composed of 12 teams, six of them being from the European League, three of them being from the Spanish League, and three of them being from the Italian League. Those teams, which are listed right here: AC Milan from Italy, Atletico Madrid from Spain, Arsenal from England, Barcelona from Spain, Chelsea, Inter Milan from Italy, Juventus, which is where Ronaldo's at, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, Real Madrid, and Tottenham. Those are the teams that were initially tied to this whole stupid plan. I say stupid because it's ridiculous. It was like, and again, we're Americans, so we don't understand the kind of way that football has impacted over there, uh, everyday life, as well as how the cities over there and everybody get so behind them. What I do compare them though is kind of how college football is here, and that's the comparison I'll give to any American that really kind of doesn't understand why this is such an issue. Is if you're, for example, you look at states like Mississippi, for instance. Mississippi, they bleed college football. I mean, down there, that's their religion. Same with some of the cities in Texas and some of the areas in Texas, some of the areas in those Louisiana. They bleed college football, and the reason why is because that's what they have there. That's the major sport. Here in Chicago, where we are, we're spoiled because we have the Bears, we have the Blackhawks, we have the Bulls, we have the Cubs, we have the Sox. We even have the Chicago Fire. If you choose to watch soccer here, which I do follow a little bit. Uh, we have all these teams. We have all these major sports that we're able to kind of split our enjoyment for. One season ends, you go to the next sport. Another season ends, you go to the next sport. Football is over right now and it's in the off season. I'm enjoying baseball and as well as a little bit of hockey and basketball. And then once those are over, we switch back into football and we can jump right into that. What I think Americans miss in the comparison or understanding of why this is such a big issue is that for them over in Europe, Italy, England, and Spain in particular, where these clubs were potentially going to leave those leagues, it's literally it's something that everybody gets excited for, and it's a part of your history. I mean, a lot of those clubs have been there for hundreds of years, and they've been rooted in that community there, and it's such a thing that it's a pride that you feel. It's almost like you have this pride in you that we're Bears fans or we're Cubs fans or whatever you may be. It's all of the teams that we're prideful in combined into one pride for one group or team. And then when you're playing in those leagues too, the way that they're set up there is it's kind of baseball-esque here, where we have the major leagues, the AAA, AA, and single A. There they have you have League One, League Two, and then you have the Premier League in England. League One being the lowest. If I'm speaking of this correctly, League One being the lowest. If you're good enough to play in League One, you might move to League Two. If you're good enough to move from League Two to Premier League, that's the goal. That's what you're hoping to do, and then you're hoping eventually to play for your home country in the FIFA World Cup as well as any of the different tournaments there. So for them, it's so important to the community, and it's so important to the people that have lived there and have been such a fan of these clubs for so long that it's an insult, honestly, to them as fans, to them as a people, to them as a community, for these clubs to choose what seems like the rich getting richer type of plan, where essentially these clubs would just play with each other and apparently make copious amounts of money together, while just excluding all of the other clubs that were a part of the leagues that they were a part of, as well as the communities themselves where those clubs lie. So not only do you have that aspect of it, which is absolutely absurd and ridiculous and awful and unfair, but you also have to understand too that a lot of these clubs are owned by million and billionaires that do not reside within those cities. They're not from those communities. And so they look at it kind of how we would look at it here in America, where a lot of these are franchises. They're organizations. It's a business. Over there, it's not so much that way. It's a lot more of again, they're a part of the community. They're a part of the way of life there. It's such an issue that this is even a thing that could be proposed. And the fact that this has happened, yeah, it's fallen out and we're seeing it right now on screen. It's those are the teams that are out. The fact that those teams were even interested in doing this is an insult to those communities and is an insult to the very sport of football, and should really be something that's shamed upon and should never happen again because it's ridiculous. And I am I'm sorry, I guess the most I can be to any of those communities that had to go through this, where potentially these teams were going to just, I guess, leave the league and just decide that they were good enough to join a super league, quote unquote. And it's sad too, because some of these teams, I'm pretty sure Tottenham's only won like one title, or one Premier League title. So like it's just ridiculous that these teams not only had the balls to leave their leagues and respected communities, set upon organization and everything, but they also had the balls to like call themselves the best 12 teams right now, and that's why they're the Super League. The whole thing's ridiculous. The whole thing's absurd. It's unbelievable, and I am really deeply saddened for the fan bases there, because I can't imagine if, for instance, the Bears just decided to join 11 other teams that were like, we're the best teams, or we're the most storied franchise, or whatever it may be, and then just leave the NFL. Like, it's unthinkable here with the way, and we're not even as into it or potentially as involved for, the hundreds of years that these clubs have been there. So it's just stupid. It's absurd. It's awful, and I'm glad that it's fallen through. And I hope that some of these teams and owners receive the repercussions. Obviously, I hope the players don't, because the players did not deserve to be a part of this whole pariah that's around this whole issue. And I really hope that they feel what is wrong about this whole thing, and really kind of continue to back the communities that have supported them and been such a fan of them, moving forward.
Yeah, you hit on all points. There's
I was
nothing more.
just, yeah, I was,
It's pretty transparent on what was going on. So there's not really a lot of insight into it. They're just called out.
well, and as Americans, like I said, it's we don't quite understand the way that this impacted, the various communities that it has. But just speaking from a standpoint of somebody who's been slowly starting to get more and more interested in football over there, as well as getting more involved in, even just the game, playing the FIFA game and stuff like that, helps you to get more involved and actually interested in the sport. And I've been on that kind of path. And even to me, to see this as a new fan coming from America that doesn't understand what this impacts the community and how it impacts the community, it's completely absurd, and it's ridiculous that it was even proposed of, and it's ridiculous that these pompous owners even thought that this was a thing that would be accepted or even liked or thought of. And honestly, I hope that this just is a detriment for any type of thought of any of this happening ever again, because it should never.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right, that's it. That's my little rant I wanted to go on about it. It's just, I had to speak on it because like I said, as a fit person who's becoming a fan of the sport and watching it more and more and getting more intrigued into kind of everything that happens and the hype around it, because it's really exciting to watch these games and be into them, and for this to occur in a sport that I'm starting to kind of enjoy more and more is ridiculous. So that's all. I just wanted to go into that a little bit. But any other than that, before we shift away, or while we shift away from this, is there anything else? I know we've covered every topic that I wanted to, and every bullet point basically that I had kind of going forward notes wise. Is there anything you wanted to cover that you noticed? Anything, media consumption that you're doing right now, or anything?
Um. No, not exactly. I'd probably have to prepare something like that. Like I said, I've been watching that one show. I watched Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders kind of getting a little bit. I don't know. We're kind of cooling off on it. We're kind of just like think we're gonna finish it just to finish it. Not really enjoying as much as we did before. Been
Gotcha. I
watching
was
that.
actually, it's funny that you say that, because I just mentioned to Alyssa that that was a show that I wanted to watch. So I'm curious to see what you think of it.
Like it's good. It's like a good watch. It's like it's not. I think it was a little bit overhyped from what I was told about it. It just seems like I don't know. It didn't really jump out and like I can't wait to figure out what happens. There's like a couple of interesting characters I'd still be watching for, but it seems like it misses the heart of like what you're looking forward to resolving.
Mm.
It's just I don't know. Maybe if you watch it, you'll kind of get what I'm saying. Maybe you'll disagree with it, but there's not like that factor of just like, oh, I know where this is going and I can't wait to see it unravel type of thing. It's just kind of like, okay, like new
Mhm.
season, like this is the conflict. It's like a newer thing, but it's kind of similar to the old thing. And I don't know.
Gotcha.
It's
Like
still
it's
good. We'll
never
still finish it, but
gotcha. Like because usually shows have like an overarching like regardless of what happens in the show or during the seasons or conflicts that are brought up, there's an overarching plot where it's like we know, like for Game of Thrones, for instance, there was an overarching plot that
yeah,
we knew that somebody was going to sit on the throne at the end and something was going to happen with the White Walkers. We didn't know what, but we watched 7, 8 seasons of it, and there was all kinds of conflict that kept us intrigued, interest in between. That's what I feel like makes a good show. So I get what you're saying, where it's
it
kind
doesn't
of
really
just
have that because I don't think they knew. It seemed like each season they didn't really know exactly like where they were going to be going next. Like it was kind of like more individualistic between the seasons. Like we're about to finish up season 3, and I think there's only 4 and 5 left, and there's only 6 episodes. But I mean, like, yeah, there's some good ones here and there. We're like, wow, that was pretty cool. But I don't know. Maybe it'll pick up next season. It just feels like it's not that show that I'm like, boom, I want to burn and binge through like I thought it would be.
yeah. No, I
So
understand. Well, that's interesting. Like I said, it's a show that I was on my list of something that I wanted to watch, and it popped up recently,
I
so I
would
was
still
actually
watch it.
very really.
I would still watch it. Yeah, I mean, especially if you're gonna like binge through it or burn through it, you might still like it. I mean, it's still good and enjoyable to watch. It's just not like that A tier. I thought I was getting like a, like a Game of Thrones experience, like you said.
Yeah, a recommendation I actually have, which is a pretty quick watch because of how the length of it is. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Luther.
I did. Actually watched that with yeah, Tessa likes that quite a bit. I didn't
Okay, I was
watch
gonna
like the
say,
whole entire thing, but I watched like episodes here and there that were good. I
it's a
liked
very
it.
good show, but it's only like 20 episodes long because over in England they don't like beat a show to death by making it 12 seasons. They just play what it is, the story, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Which I think they should do more so over here, which I think you kind of saw with Game of Thrones, where it was like 8 episodes and then 6 episodes, and you were like, okay, good. Like, I don't need a drawn out, 15 episode season.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like miniseries and stuff are. I'm glad that that direction's going there. Oh, you're
But
talking about Okay, I thought you were talking about Luther the one. Wait a second, which one?
with Idris
Oh, I thought
Elba.
you were talking about Lucifer. My bad.
Oh, Lucifer, I was gonna say, I just watched all of it like literally a couple weeks ago. That was my like most recent show that I binged.
Yeah, that's
And
good. That's good.
I'm excited for like the next season to come out. That show's really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've when we would watch episodes here and there, I'd always be interested in it. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a show that you don't have to like binge, but it's like a show that you could like put on a couple episodes and you'll be intrigued and like enjoy it.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah, that's a good description.
you should watch Luther with Idris Elba.
I see
It's, a,
that now. I
it's
didn't
an
even know that was a
English
show.
it's an English show, and it's like the first season's like 6 episodes, and the second season's like 4 episodes, and then the third season's like 2 episodes. Like it's so short, but like
There's no
because it's so
filler.
short, yeah, like there's no filler. Like it's just straight up like I think season one is like him solving 2 cases, and like the 2 cases that he solves like span like 4 episodes each, and like they're wild. Like there's just crazy shit happens because there's no filler.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, the absence of filler in shorter series is really, really needed.
Yeah, you should definitely watch that show. Highly recommend it. It was really good.
Yeah. Other than that, not really too much. We watched a couple of 90s rom coms, which are really good. I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed them. Colin
I was gonna
Firth was, I
say,
think, in both of them.
Alyssa was like, "You should watch some rom coms," and I was like, "I don't know about that." And
Dude,
then
they're so
it's
good.
funny because
It's
then we found out you guys were, and I was like, "Oh boy."
they're actually so like Tessa has a really impeccable taste in movies, and
What
I
were they?
usually enjoy all of them. Like I watched that and I was into it like for both movies the whole time.
What movie were they?
Let me look at him up because I know Colin Firth was in this one. The other one was Crazy Stupid Love with
Yeah, that's on my
Steve
list
Carell.
actually.
Yeah, that one you'll like that a lot. It's really funny.
The
Um,
one, the movies I just watched actually recently across two more off my list. I watched Point Break and Primal Fear.
oh yeah, they were both good.
Both both were very good movies. Primal Fear, very serious movie with a very one of my favorite twists I think I've ever seen in a movie.
Really?
One
All
of my
right.
favorite
Well,
twists and one of my favorite lines that I ever saw. I like this line is got to be one of the most chilling, like greatest lines I've ever seen in a movie.
yeah.
And it happens like mid twist at the end. So there's a twist at the end of the movie, shocker. That's how movies usually that are good go. So you'll be in for that, and it's like I said, there's a line that's said in the twist, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything else about it, so that way you can watch it. There's a
Yeah.
line in the twist that is fucking fantastic. It lands when you hear the line, you just go, oh, fuck, that was great. Like what a great like written, and it's Edward Norton.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's him, but like 20 years old. And then Captain, the captain from six, what is it called?
Yeah. Yeah.
Brooklyn.
Yeah. Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, the captain.
Yeah.
It's like a really young version of him, like in his 20s.
Yeah.
He's in that. There's another actress who's been in a bunch of stuff. She's in the movie. And it's basically about there's a murder that happens, and there's this kid, which is Edward Norton, that gets who people are blaming because he was at the scene of the crime, but like it's you can like there's a feeling of like, oh, he's innocent. And
Yeah.
there's a lawyer, the lawyer being Richard Gere, takes the case, and he's like the best lawyer in the city, and it takes place in Chicago, by the way.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So it's funny because like the case is like being seen at like the Will County, like, or not Will, it's like the Cook County jail, like courthouse or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's the setup for the movie, and it's like the murder. They're like the murder of a priest, or not a priest, a archbishop, I think. I think it's an archbishop. But
Thank you
that's
for
the
Okay.
the
setup for the
follow.
movie. Fantastic movie. Highly recommend it. Fantastic line at the end of the movie that I will forever love. So recommend that movie, Primal Fear.
Okay. Yeah. The movie that I watched was What a Girl Wants. So
Ooh,
you could tell Alyssa that one.
that's
It
on
was
Alyssa's list for me to watch.
it was good. It's fun. It's just those movies that like they're not like Oscars, and why should they be? But they're just like good fun movies to watch that you'll just
Well,
enjoy.
there was like a great time for rom coms, and it was basically around that time, and it was like
Yeah.
rom-coms like became cheesy as they went around like along over the years, but like there was a good couple of those rom-coms that inspired everybody else to come out with a rom-com. Like, and that's like those are two of the movies that I've heard that are two of the movies that inspired that whole like trend.
Yeah. No, you I believe you will you'll enjoy it for sure, I think. And listen to the ones she has on her list. They sound like they're the same.
Gotcha.
They sound like they are the same.
Yeah, I was to say those are two of the movies that are 100% were on the list, and I saw that for sure.
Yeah. I would take the time. Maybe this weekend, perhaps.
Yep.
You know?
Will do maybe that's I might wait to watch them with Alyssa because Alyssa they were on her list too.
Yeah, I
I
would.
know what a girl wants for sure was.
Yeah. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. I think we'll call it. I am exhausted. I'm tired. But
Yeah, I'm pretty tired too. I'm ready to.
switch off of this. Yeah. So
Well,
that will be the end of our broadcast.
are you're not out yet, right?
What? Oh no,
Did
not
you
not yet,
close
not
out?
yet, not yet. No.
Okay. I just want to do a little ending. So, anyways, yeah, so that'll be it for us. Thank you anybody that's watching at home as well as listening wherever it may be. We, of course, covered a bunch of range of topics, from the Jake Paul fight to the Shang-Chi movie that Marvel just showed the trailer for. All of that was kind of talked about, NFL, everything. And hopefully next week we can get something going as far as a live stream for the first round of the NFL draft, because I think that'll be a lot of fun. We'll figure out what kind of drinking games we can do for that as well. And I look forward to whatever that is going to entail, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. And other than that, maybe we'll go over my final mock draft before the draft so we can kind of see where I think everything's going to end up now that we're basically the day of. And that's kind of it. Looking forward. So, you have anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining. And this is has been the Dylan and Dylan podcast.
Yeah. And
Good
outro.
night.